Everybody, Marilyn Merrifield, Coldwell Banker, North Shore Realtor, and I am joined today by Matt Kennedy from Guaranteed Rate Affinity. Matt is the VP of Mortgage Lending, and we have a great partnership in that Guaranteed Rate Affinity sits literally in our office, and it's a great advantage. I recommend them highly because I have great access to them. So if there's any kind of a question or an issue that you have, I can just kind of reach out and touch them. And they always take my phone calls right away, even on the weekends. So I'm really very grateful for that partnership and I do recommend them. So uh, thank you, Matt, for joining today to answer some questions.
Well, thanks for having me, Marilyn. And yeah, as you say, it's a great partnership, not only with you, but with Coldwell Banker as a whole, and creates a lot of great synergies. And especially with my team, I think we can really provide some great efficiencies for your clients.
Great. And I've seen that. So great. So I guess the reason I asked you to come today is because, there's so much in the news and a lot of my buyers, have been seeing a lot of things changing in the market with interest rates. And I wanted to just have a conversation with you as an expert to figure out, to get your take on, what the current market conditions are, what's happening with interest rates, everything.
Well, interest rates, they're still at historical lows. If you look back to when our parents had mortgages years ago, the rates were a lot higher. But, so again, we're still at historical lows. We didn't have a great year last year for rates. It put a few people on the sidelines, but we are seeing rates starting to come down. We had the Federal Reserve had to get aggressive and do their thing to combat inflation, which inflation going down helps mortgage rates. So as we start seeing more readings come this year, we're going to see lower interest rates. We feel that rates could be lower by the end of the year. But if you're buying a home right now and you need to buy a home, want to buy a home, you can only take advantage of the rates that we have. Okay, but if rates do happen to go down and you bought a home at a 6% interest rate right now, and they go down to 5%, we could always look to do a no-cost refinance. So, you're not locked in forever on a rate. We can always look to get a better one.
Right, right. And what I tell people is nobody ever bought a home because of an interest rate, right? People buy homes because they need to expand. They, have a life event that's causing them to seek a change in their living environment. So, but I love the idea that, yeah, you can refinance if they go down. And I think too that, we're hearing that, sometimes there's a little bit of a fluctuation. So maybe you can explain the lock and load, lock and roll that guaranteed rate has. That's, I think, another benefit.
Yeah, absolutely. If you do feel, and we feel that rates are going to go higher from here, well, first of all, a locking an interest rate means that the rate cannot go higher once you lock that rate. We lock the rate through your closing date, okay, to make sure that, again, it can't go any higher. But let's say you are, a little bit of ways out from making that purchase within, let's say, the next couple months. You're shopping around and you don't want those rates to go higher. We have a program where you can lock a rate for up to 90 days without a contract, okay, without an address. Typically, a lot of lenders will make you have a purchase contract in place to be able to lock an interest rate. So we offer that. You're locked in, don't have to worry about it. You can find that property, and then we will still have the time to make the closing happen.
Right. And if they go down,
if they go down, so once again, if we're locked in your interest rate and rates do happen to go down before your closing date, we do have what's called a float down or renegotiation policy, where we could take advantage of the, closer to the current market and the interest rates.
Great, great. So I think, maybe we can talk a little bit about renting versus buying. And, it's pretty tough to find a rental nowadays anyway. And I don't know if you're seeing what I see, but I'm seeing like really high rent rates. Um, so maybe you can talk about, the advantages of buying versus renting.
Sure, absolutely. So we are seeing rates for rent at all-time highs, and they still seem to be climbing. So, that's one reason to, look at doing a purchase. But number one, you're paying someone else's mortgage when you are renting. Okay, you're not building any equity by making a rent payment. But if you're making a mortgage payment, you are putting money into that loan balance, driving your equity. So that creates wealth over time. That's the number one benefit. There's also tax benefits. There's when you own a home, you can do whatever you want to the property. You're not tied into what the landlord wants to do with that property. You can make that home your own. So there's definitely a lot of benefits for buying. And I think people are surprised, honestly, that when they do the numbers on the payment for a mortgage versus what they're paying in rent, actually you can afford a home with even a less payment than what you're paying in rent. So that's always an eye opener for people.
Yeah, it's worth it having the conversation for sure. And then the other piece too is like if you own a piece of property, like what we've seen is, you know, the the value of that asset continues to grow over time, and except for, certain occasions, but over time, it seems like everything is always on an up trajectory. So you're not really, you're making an investment that's growing as well as getting, like you said, the tax benefits of owning and, creating that generational wealth that you can pass on to, your children, presumably later in life. So I
For
think
sure,
there's
yeah.
a,
And I think people do forget that you are buying an asset. It's it can be part of your overall portfolio. You own some stocks, you own bonds, and then you might own a home. It's just another piece of your asset and your net worth. And again, 3 to 5% is what they say is kind of the average appreciation on a home per year. So if you own a home long enough, you're going to create some equity and some wealth.
right, right. All right. And then, I guess kind of wrapping up a little bit, do you have any other kind of closing messages or any other programs that, you want to tell us about that Guaranteed Rate offers?
Yeah, for sure. There's a number of programs out there right now that can make things a little more affordable. A lot of them are income based or address specific, but we always want to look for those options. Okay, so if you can qualify for one of these types of programs, you're going to get a rate that could be 0.5%, sometimes a full percent lower than the current market interest rate. There's down payment assistance programs out there. So if you're looking for ways to get a little more money to put towards the transaction and even have a lower interest rate, there are programs out there for that. So it's all based on your goals for buying a home. Okay. And if it's a need for more money to put into the transaction, we can find a way to do that. If it's a lower payment that you need, we can look to find a way to do that as well. So we always want to know your goals and what are your goals to purchase, and then we can find the right options for you and make it a better transaction for you.
So it sounds like even, I know one of the things too is that, a lot of people are looking and they're not finding exactly what they want right now because of inventory. But I think, if there's a way um, to pull some additional money into it so that you can rehab a home, I think that is another great idea,
That's
more.
another forgotten program out there that it seems it's a very underserved program out there. It's called a renovation loan. So when there's a limited amount of inventory out there, you can find a property that might need a little work. Maybe you just have to have a little vision. You go in, you say, oh yeah, I could use a new bathroom, it could use a new kitchen, whatever it might be. Well, you're able to build that into a purchase program. You can build, it's a mini construction loan where you can buy a home, make it your own, and build it all right into that purchase loan.
Right. There's just so many different options, and I think that's what the big takeaway is right here. You know, it's always a good time to buy when it meets your goals. And there are ways to accomplish it. People are buying homes every day. And it seems like the best thing to do is to just sit down, with you or someone, in your office, and have the conversation and figure out, like, okay, this is what I can do for you. Here's how I can sharpen that pencil and come up with something that will meet your needs. And I think that's the big takeaway is, let's just sit down and figure it out, how we can, maximize the money that you have available and get you the best home and, make your dreams for home ownership reality. So I think that's I don't know if you have any last words, but
Yeah, I 100% agree. Obviously buying a home is a big deal. You're not just going to buy a piece of furniture at the store or a new car. You're buying a home. And I think there's a lot of misconceptions out there. And people are watching the news or whatever it might be. But when you really sit down and we go through the process, and we take a look again, getting back to the goals, we look at your goals and we look at what you have to work with. More often than not, we're going to be able to find a way to make it happen. So if you want to buy, there's never a terrible time to do it. We'll make sure we can make it work and hit your goals.
great. All right. Well, Matt, thank you again for joining me today. And I would say to all of you listening, just call me, text me, email me, and I will put you in contact with Matt, and we can sit down and we can figure out how to get things rolling for you. So thanks again, and I look forward to hearing from all of you listening. Take
Yeah,
care.
thank you, Marilyn. I would love to help anybody that wants to take a look.
Great, great. All righty. Well, thanks so much. I appreciate it. Take care.